Hello, hello, hello. Let's see if anybody can hear me. Okay, hello. Can you hear me? Am I here? Good morning. Hi, can you hear me? Can everybody kind of hear me today? Yes, no, yes. Cool. Thank you, Professor Nikiforak. Good sound, yes. I am not at home today. I have left the safety of Pundong and come up to Seoul. I'm in my office right now. Thankfully, nobody else is in the office, so they don't care if I talk loudly. So that's good. But you might see one or two professors come in later. We'll see. I don't know. Okay, cool. I hope that everyone is doing well today. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you had a good class with Professor Nolan. Okay, let's jump right into it. Today we're feeling nostalgic. Let's go to nostalgic. So of course, nostalgic means that you're thinking positively, happily about the past. So let's talk about some of this. What movies or songs make you feel nostalgic? When you hear these things, what make you feel nostalgic? Now, I'll tell you some of the bands, some of the musicians or movies that make me feel nostalgic, but you're probably not going to recognize the music. If I hear Paul Simon, who I doubt any of you are going to know, if I hear Paul Simon, I get nostalgic, or Jimmy Buffett, because this is music that my mom used to play in the car when we were driving to the beach. I feel very nostalgic when I hear that. Movies, this you may know, I feel very nostalgic when I watch Star Wars. Star Wars, the original Star Wars movies, are probably some of my favorite movies ever, which is why I named one of my children after a Star Wars character. Yep, one of my kids is named after a Star Wars character. Pretty crazy. So just type in the live chat. What makes you feel nostalgic? What songs or movies? Or maybe even what is your favorite memory from childhood? Do you have a good memory from childhood? I remember one of my earliest memories is my mother and father pulling me in a wagon walking to Krispy Kreme. We lived very close to a Krispy Kreme donuts when I was very, 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 very small. Also, what was better about the past? I mean, very easy to think about this one. There was no coronavirus. Life was much different even just a year ago. But even not considering coronavirus, even further in the past, what was better? Maybe was life better without smartphones? Without the ubiquitousness of the internet? Was life better? What do you think? Give me some thoughts in the live chat, because I'm seeing no talk in the live chat. Harry Potter series. Okay, that is another good one. Harry Potter series also makes me quite nostalgic. I started reading them a little bit late. When I started reading the Harry Potter series, I started maybe when book 3 or 4 had been released, and my brother recommended them, and I just devoured them. I read them so quickly, and then I had to wait for the next books to come out. And if you remember waiting for the books to come out, it was a long wait. So yeah, that's also very nostalgic for me. Anything else? What makes you feel nostalgic? I think another movie that makes me feel nostalgic is Forrest Gump. If you've ever seen Forrest Gump with Tom Hanks, that area where he grows up, Greenbow, Alabama, That's where I'm from. I'm not from Greenboro, but I'm from very close to there. So just seeing that movie and just hearing the accents and seeing the locales, the locations, makes me feel quite nostalgic. In says the songs of Adele. Okay, that's good. I like Adele. I wonder why they make you feel nostalgic, because some of her songs are quite sad. So maybe that's a sad nostalgia. Anyone else? What else makes you feel nostalgic? Pippi. I'm assuming you mean Pippi Longstocking. Wow, you are showing your age a little bit, because Pippi Longstocking was a long time ago. Wow, that was a long time ago. So yeah, some of these things, if I mention them, it shows my age. It shows how old I am, because I actually enjoy these things. One Direction, okay, is also good. One Direction, wow. Some classic stuff here. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Nostalgia. George Ball says that nostalgia is a seductive liar. What do you think this means? Nostalgia is a seductive liar. Okay, and also Soun, he says, when I was young, my family often went camping. So I'm assuming that when you go camping, you feel nostalgic. That's nice. I think Thanksgiving food like turkey and cranberry sauce and stuffing and all of these kinds of foods make me feel nostalgic, because I have not eaten that kind of food in many, many years, sadly. Okay, so back to the quote. Nostalgia is a seductive liar. What do you think this means? Anybody? What does seductive mean? Seductive means kind of pulling you in, making you see something or want something. I think we all know what a liar is. So what is nostalgia? Is a seductive liar. I'll wait for some of your answers in the live chat, but I'll go ahead and talk about this because we have a lot to go through today. Nostalgia as a seductive liar to me means that when we look in the past, we only remember the good things. Nostalgia means we're only remembering the good things about the past. Because remember, nostalgia is a very positive emotion. Nostalgia is very positive. So when we feel nostalgia, we think about the positive of the past, but we don't remember the negative. Or nostalgia doesn't let us remember the negative. It paints everything in a golden light. It makes everything seem better, that the past was better. If only I was born 50 years ago or 100 years ago, life would be better. A good movie, I'm going to give you a movie recommendation about nostalgia. It's a great movie called Midnight in Paris. I recommend this movie, Midnight in Paris. It is basically all about nostalgia and about how everything in the past was better. And if we could just go into the past, life would be better. But yeah, Yun says, perfect. The past always feels better than it was. That's exactly why nostalgia is a seductive liar. Okay, now we're going to look at some English phrases we can use when we're talking about nostalgia. So the first one is, reminds me of, And this is a phrase that shows one thing makes you think of another thing in the past. So for example, my example sentence here is, this song reminds me of my wedding. This song reminds me of my wedding. So when I hear this song, I think of my wedding. So how about you? What is something, try to use this phrase, reminds me of, in a sentence in the live chat. And I'll fix your grammar if I see any mistakes. So this song reminds me of my wedding. Or maybe this food reminds me of home. Or something else. Let's wait for some of your comments in the live chat. Animation songs. Okay. Not sure what that's referring to. Animation songs. They make you feel nostalgic, maybe? try to use this phrase reminds me of in a sentence. I don't see any sentences in the live chat, but I'll wait. I'll go to the next one, but keep typing, keep typing. Okay, another phrase that's very similar to reminds me of is takes me back to And this is a phrase that shows something reminds you of a time in your past. So for example, this cherry pie really takes me back to my childhood. Or you could say, this food really takes me back to my time in Japan, if you lived in Japan in the past. Or this movie really takes me back to my period in the army, something like that. So takes me back to a specific time in the past. Okay, in the live chat has said, exotic foods reminds me of my past travels. Maybe exotic food, not foods, because reminds, you're using it for a singular noun. So exotic food reminds me of my past travels. That's good. I wonder what exotic food you're talking about. So you could also say that exotic food takes me back to my past travels. That would be another way to say that. These basically mean the same thing. So again, type in the live chat. I'll fix any grammar I see, but I'm going to move on to the next phrase for now. Is a blast from the past. This is a phrase that refers to something that was popular in the past, but maybe you forgot about for a long time. So for example, I haven't heard that song in years. It's such a blast from the past. So maybe some old songs that you haven't heard from a long time, or some old movies, or old commercial, or old TV show, something like that would be a blast from the past. For example, my wife the other day was watching Friends, the TV show Friends, and wow, Friends is a blast from the past. That is, I haven't seen that in a while. Okay, let's move on to the live chat. Rose Cho says, see the AFEL top takes me back to Perry. Maybe seeing the, Eiffel Tower. Oh, okay. I think that's what you're trying to say. So seeing the Eiffel Tower takes me back to my time in Paris. And when I try cinnamon, it reminds me of when I was a child eating cinnamon bread. So when I try cinnamon, it reminds me of when I was a child eating cinnamon bread. I can't promise that all of my spelling is correct because I'm typing quite quickly, but that should fix your grammar there. Okay, good. Good. Let's move on to the next one. To be homesick for. So, I'm not sure if any of you have traveled outside of the country for a long time, but I've been outside of my home country for a very, very, very long time. And I don't get homesick often anymore, but definitely around this season, around Thanksgiving and Christmas time, I do feel a bit, maybe nostalgic is a better word than homesick, but I definitely miss some of the food and songs and celebrations from back home. So this is a phrase that shows that you miss something from your home, your hometown, or your home country. So you can say, nowadays I'm really homesick for the food, there's a mistake in my PowerPoint, sorry. Nowadays I'm really homesick for my mother's food. Ignore the food. So I'm really homesick for my mother's food. And I am homesick for Thanksgiving and Christmas food and just, fireplaces and sitting around the Christmas tree, stuff like that. I do miss that sometimes. What are you homesick for? What have you been homesick for? Maybe you don't live in a different country, but maybe you don't live in your hometown anymore. What do you miss from your hometown or from living with your parents? I'll look for your sentences in the live chat. But for now, let's go to the next phrase. To jog someone's memory. Now, this jog does not mean run. This jog is more like to shake loose. Like if you have something stuck inside of a jar and you have to shake it loose, you're kind of jogging it. So to jog someone's memory means to like shake loose that memory so that they can remember it. So jogging someone's memory means helping them remember something. So this is a phrase that means something or some event reminds you of something else you forgot about, or you're helping someone else remember something they forgot about. So my example sentence shows, reading the lecture notes again jogged my memory of the important ideas that will be on the final exam. So jogging your memories means to kind of shake them loose or get them going again. So maybe if you need to remind somebody of something, you jog their memory to help them remember something. So really, to jog your memory means to help you remember something. Okay, let's look at the live chat. N says, I'm homesick for my hometown's cafe. That's nice. Yeah, I don't think I'm homesick for any specific place back home. Just home. Just being in a house maybe instead of an apartment for Christmas time would be nice. Youngju says, I'm really homesick for freedom from masks. I think you need to make that plural. I'm really homesick for freedom from masks. Yeah, we all are. I'm not wearing my mask right now because I'm in the office alone, but of course I have my mask for even when people come into the office, I wear this mask if I'm not doing filming. I'm alone in here and I'm doing filming, so I take my mask off, but I think we all miss not wearing masks. But I will say, wearing a mask has its perks. I talk to myself a lot, especially when I'm walking. I'm like a crazy person. So I talk to myself a lot, and when I'm wearing my mask, nobody knows. It's actually kind of beautiful. So I do like wearing my mask sometimes, but yeah, it does get annoying. Okay, let's see. Suni says, I am homesick for when I am sick? You miss being sick? Why do you want to be sick? I don't understand. You're going to have to explain that a little bit more. Why would you want to be sick? Okay, next. To take a trip down memory lane. So of course here a lane means a street or a road. So this is like meaning that you are remembering something fondly. You're having good memories about something. To take a trip down memory lane. This could be used negatively, but rarely. This is usually used when you're talking about remembering positive memories. So yes, it's a phrase that means you are recalling or talking about an important memory or memories from your past. So my example sentence says, we took a trip down memory lane by watching old family videos. So this is saying that, you remembered something, usually with another person. You're sharing this experience of remembering something. So if you're watching old videos, old family videos, or you're looking at maybe your high school yearbook, the picture book that shows the photos from your high school times or even elementary school times, or even just remembering stories from the past, that's taking a trip down memory lane. If you want to use this in the live chat, I will fix your grammar. But for now, let's move on to the next phrase. To ring a bell. So this phrase means something reminds you of something, but you can't remember exactly what it reminds you of. So if you hear a song, or often if you smell something, you smell a familiar smell, but you can't remember why it's familiar, that could ring a bell. You could say, oh, that smell, it rings a bell, but where is it from? So my example conversation says, the man says, do you know what déjà vu is? And the woman says, it rings a bell, but I can't remember exactly. I can't remember what it is. So to ring a bell means to vaguely remember something, but you can't really place it. You can't remember where you remember it from. Why? What does it remind you of? Okay, in the live chat, we took a trip down memory lane by looking at wedding photos. So we took a trip down memory lane by looking at maybe my or our wedding photos. And In says, I take a trip down memory lane by watching my Google photo gallery. You could use this in simple present tense, but it's not very common. You could say, grammatically, this is correct. This is correct grammatically. But when we talk about something that we often do, we use simple present like that. But it's good to add a word like often or sometimes. So I would recommend fixing this by saying I often take a trip down memory lane by watching my Google photo library. Oh, also sorry, not watching, by looking at. We don't really say watching photos. We look at photos. We watch moving images, like watching movies or watching traffic or watching people. We watch things that move. We look at things that don't move. Now, that's not an exact concrete rule. There are many exceptions to that. But generally, we look at things that don't move and we watch things that do move. Okay, moving back to our words. So, to ring a bell. If you can use that in a phrase, please do so in the live chat. Okay, next we have to lose your train of thought. Okay, so this is a phrase that shows that you forget what you're talking about while you're talking about it. This is a hard one to explain. Let's just look at my example very quickly. So the woman says, "Did you get your book back from your friend?" And the man says, "I met him yesterday. We had coffee and talked about our high school days. We used to play in a band and..." Wait, I lost my train of thought. What was your question? So to lose your train of thought means that while you're talking about something, you forget where you're going. Like I start here, I'm talking about this, my destination is here, but in the middle, I forget where I'm going. So it's like you're talking for a long, long time and then, wait, what did I want to say? What was I talking about? I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was talking about while I was talking. So that's losing your train of thought. Like your train is going, but it loses the way. You don't know where you're going anymore. Maybe that happens more often to older people like me, but it definitely happens to young people too. But yeah, you can be talking about something and you just, wait, what was I talking about? I don't remember. I lost my train of thought. Okay, good. So to lose your train of thought, if you can use this in the live chat, please do. Please put it in the live chat and I'll try to fix your grammar. That's what I like to do. Okay, next, to be on the tip of someone's tongue. This is a phrase that shows that you can almost remember a word. You want to say a word, but you can't remember what the word is. It's almost there. You can almost remember it, but you just can't say it. You can't get the word out of your mouth. Okay, so my example is when the teacher asked me a question in class, the answer was on the tip of my tongue, but I couldn't remember. So this is, I think everybody has had this frustrating feeling where you're talking and you're trying to say something. You need to say a word usually, but you can't remember what the word is. It's there, it's in your head, you just can't. Oh, you can almost remember. I can almost remember it. That's the feeling of it's on the tip of my tongue. I just can't remember it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Like even if not even just a word, but sometimes like an actor's name Like you're trying, oh, who is that actor in that movie? Oh, I can almost remember his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. What is it? It's that feeling. That's the feeling of something being on the tip of your tongue. It's almost there. You can almost remember it, but you can't say it because you can't 100% remember it. That's being on the tip of your tongue. So try to use that in the live chat too if you can. Okay, I'll wait 1 second. And now we're going to move on. We have a lot to cover today. The next phrase is to have a sharp memory. A sharp memory means that you have a very strong memory. Like a sharp knife is a good knife. My example here is my friend has a sharp memory. She remembers everything. Yeah, that's my wife. My wife has a very sharp memory. She remembers everything. I do not. I have a very dull memory. I cannot remember things. I'm very good at remembering songs and movies and character names and stuff like that. But remembering stuff from my own life is difficult. I don't know why. My wife also says that, and it's very true, I am a guilty. The Korean watchers out there will know what I'm talking about. Basically, I have no sense of direction. Even this morning, riding the subway, it's been a long time since I rode the subway to work. I got lost. I went to the wrong subway station. And I've been here so many years. I should be able to figure out. I don't pay attention when I'm walking around. I'm very aloof. There's a good word. I'm going to write that. I'm aloof. I'm just not paying attention to what I should be paying attention to. And because of that, I get lost very easily. And I just don't know where I'm going. So yeah, have a very dull memory. I don't have a sharp memory, and I'm very easily get lost. So don't follow me places because we will never get there. So do you have a sharp memory? I wonder. Now let me look at the live chat because I see a few sentences coming in. In says, when I speak in English, words are on the tip of my tongue. I know exactly how you feel. Same when I speak Korean. The words are on the tip of my tongue and I can almost say them. But often I get words mixed up or I just say it a little bit wrong. And yeah, it's quite frustrating, isn't it? Rose Cho says, it will not take me much time to remember. Her name is on the tip of my tongue. Perfect. Very good. It will not take me much time to remember. Her name is on the tip of my tongue. Good. Excellent. Those are great sentences. Okay. Now, that's it for our phrases. Now, we're going to talk about some grammar. This is what I like to do halfway through the class. And wow, we're making really good time. We have 30 minutes left. Adjective clauses. Now, this is a very common thing that people learn early on in English, but the complexities of it can make it where people make many mistakes. Now, Korean has adjective clauses, and I'm going to show you some examples in a minute. But in Korean, the adjective clauses come before the noun, but in English, the adjective clauses come after the noun. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that in just a minute. So first, let's see, what is an adjective clause? So an adjective clause is a dependent clause that functions as an adjective. So if we look at this first picture, the first sentence, the angry tiger snarled at me. Angry is just an adjective. It is not an adjective clause, just an adjective. It goes before tiger. It's describing the tiger. But we can add that after the noun using that and a be verb. So the tiger that was angry snarled at me. So that was angry is an adjective clause. And as you can see, the adjective clause comes after the noun tiger. So in English, adjective clauses come after the noun, not before. Okay, good. Let's keep going. I have a lot of slides to get through. So in Korean, the adjective clause goes before the noun. So like the person who is wearing a hat is my friend. You can see it in Korean. It's before the noun saram. It goes before it. But in English, the adjective clause comes after the noun. But they function in very, very similar ways. That's why it's very convenient that, yes, they're used. I mean, the form is different, but the function is the same. Okay. So, can you translate this sentence into English? How would you translate this sentence into English? And maybe my Korean's not perfect, but I think I actually made a mistake here. That's okay. Translate this in the sentence into English, we would say the cat that is playing with the ball is cute. So again, in Korean, the adjective clause comes before the noun, 고양이, cat. But in English, the adjective clause comes after the noun, cat, that is playing with the ball. It's a little bit long. Okay. Pretty basic. I'm sure most of you or all of you already know this. That's cool. Trust me, you're probably going to learn something here though. Okay. I saw a man who was wearing sunglasses. Basically, when we make an adjective clause or when we use an adjective clause in a sentence, we are combining two sentences together. So the main sentence here is, I saw a man. The adjective clause of this sentence that we're going to change into an adjective clause is, the man is wearing sunglasses. So we combine these together to say, I saw a man who is wearing sunglasses, or who was wearing sunglasses, if it's past tense. And we use who for people, specifically subjects. We'll talk about that later. But who is for subjects. Who is wearing sunglasses? If you have any questions, just ask me in the live chat, and I'll try to answer them, okay? But I'm going to try to go through this rather quickly because we have a lot of ground to cover. Okay, Lee Jungmi says, the dog which lives with me is always hungry. That has a mistake in it, a small mistake, but I'm going to correct that in a minute. So I'll come back to that in a minute because this is a very, very, very common mistake that people make, that even native English speakers make. And it's a tiny mistake. It doesn't really matter, especially when you're talking. But it's good to know the difference between which and that. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So, Lee Jungmi, I'm so glad you said that sentence because we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So, let's go on to the next example. I saw a man whom I met before. Now, what's the difference between whom and who? Now, if you see in this slide, I saw a man. The man is wearing sunglasses. The man is the subject. See that? The man. But in this one, I saw a man. I met the man. The man is the object of this second sentence. I is the subject. So when you're changing a sentence into an adjective clause and the word that it is defining is the object of that adjective clause, we use whom instead of who. So we would say, I saw a man whom I met before. The easy way to recognize this is if there is a subject after who or whom, like I saw a man whom I, or whom he, or whom she, then you probably need whom, not who. Now, in this sentence, if I said, I saw a man who I met before, it's okay. Most people do that. Most people do not use whom correctly. Even native English speakers are lazy. Even I don't always use whom correctly. It's just laziness. So if you don't know, should I use whom or should I use who? Just use who, because you're going to be right, or it's going to sound right. If you use whom incorrectly, if you use whom when you should have said who, it's going to sound really strange. So if you don't know whom or who, just use who. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Whose. Now this is possessive. I saw a man whose hair is blue. So again, we have the original sentence, I saw a man. But in this case, it's the man's possessive. So instead of saying who or whom, we would say whose. I saw a man whose hair is blue. So whose is for possessive. So again, who is for subject, whom is for object, and whose is for possessive. Now again, I'm sure most of you already know these rules. So I'm going to go through these initial rules a little bit fast. Now let's do some practice, okay? Try to combine these two sentences into one sentence by changing one sentence into an adjective clause. So, she met a coworker. The coworker is from the same town. Change this into one sentence with an adjective clause. I'll wait for you to do it in the live chat. Change this, like we did before, into one sentence. The second sentence should become the adjective clause. I'll just wait in the live chat for someone to give me at least one example. Okay, N said she met a coworker who is from the same town. That is perfectly correct. Let's see. Yeah, she met a coworker who. Because coworker here is the subject, we use who. Very good. She met a coworker who is from the same town. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm going to go a little bit fast. If you still want to write in the live chat, that's fine. Ji-sun said she met a coworker who is from the same town. Perfect. Okay, let's move to the next one. Combine these two sentences. Same way. She met a coworker. She recognized the coworker from high school. This one's a little bit harder. Now, I'm giving you a hint at the bottom where it says whom review. So you're obviously going to use whom here. But still ordering the words is a little bit difficult. So let's see if you do well here. Try to change these into one sentence as well. I will wait for some responses. So again, this one is using whom, not who. Waiting, waiting, waiting. Well, I'm not seeing any responses. Okay, well, I will keep I will keep waiting. Oh, okay, we have a response. She met a coworker whom not I recognized, whom she recognized from high school. She met a coworker whom, again, you need she. You need that subject after whom. So let's see the answer. She met a coworker whom she recognized from high school. Yeah, you need a subject after that whom. And in this case, the subject is she, not I. Good. Okay. Let's keep going. Try to combine these two sentences into one sentence with whose. So she met a coworker. The coworker's cat is famous on YouTube. Change this into one sentence with whose this time. Okay, In says she met a coworker whose cat is famous on YouTube. Perfect. Very good. And Hoyongtae says she met a coworker whom, again, you need she recognized from high school. Whom she recognized from high school. Ji-sun says she met a coworker whose cat is famous on YouTube. Let's see the answer. You guys are right. Great. She met a coworker whose cat is famous on YouTube. Yeah, because this is possessive, the coworkers. Good, good, good. You guys are doing awesome. So that's good. We've done some review for who, whom, and whose. Now, let's do a little bit more practice, just one more time. So, I know an American. The American lives in Japan. I know an American. I met the American at a cafe. I know an American. The American's name is Josh. Let's look through these, write them if you can quickly in the live chat, change these into one sentence. Okay, let's see. I know an American who lives in Japan. I know an American who lives in Japan. I know an American whose name is Josh. All of these are correct so far. I know an American who lives in Japan. I know an American whom I met at a cafe. I know an American whose name is Josh. Very good. All of these are looking good, good, good. Good. Yeah, these look great. Whom I met at a cafe. Good, good, good. Okay, yeah, I'm going to show you guys the answer because all of your answers look good. Yeah, so number one, I know an American who lives in Japan. I know an American whom I met at a cafe. And I know an American whose name is Josh. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Now, I'm going to go a little bit fast. I keep saying I'm going to go fast, but yeah, we're only halfway through my slides, but we're not going to get through them all, but we'll keep going. We have about 16 minutes left. Okay. Now, that versus which. I told you I was going to get to this. That versus which. This is confusing for people because this is restrictive and non-restrictive clauses. Now, before we talked about who, whom, and whose, and those can be restrictive or non-restrictive, but this is where it gets confusing, and this is where we get into more advanced grammar, or at least upper intermediate, in my opinion. So, let's look at the two example sentences I have here. The first example sentence is, tattoos that have Chinese characters are popular in the US. The second example sentence says, tattoos, comma, which have Chinese characters, comma, are popular in the US. One of these sentences is incorrect. One of these sentences is wrong. Let's discuss why. Let's talk about why. Now, both of these are grammatically correct, but one of these sentences gives the wrong information that doesn't make any sense. I know they look very similar, but I promise you, one of them is wrong. So let's talk about why one of them is wrong. Okay, so restrictive clauses use that, who, whom, when, where, why, all of those, and have no commas. Okay, they don't have commas. They are essential information. So I saw a movie that stars Jack Nicholson. This is an example of a restrictive clause. There's no commas, and it uses that, not which. Restrictive clauses, excuse me, do not use which. Now, unrestrictive clauses use which, who, whom, blah, 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 all of the others, and have commas. They contain extra information that is not necessary to the sentence. For example, I saw Jack Nicholson, comma, who is a famous actor. Now, who is a famous actor? Especially when we talk about proper nouns. Proper noun is the name of a noun, like a name of a city, like Paris or New York. Name of a person, like Jack Nicholson or Tom Hanks. A name of a language, like English or Korea. Name of a country, like the United States or France. When we're talking about proper nouns, almost always we're going to use an unrestrictive or non-restrictive clause after it, because anything that comes after it is non-essential information. Now, what do I mean by non-essential information or extra information? Let's keep looking. So, non-restrictive clauses often follow proper nouns, like I said. Josh, comma, who is my teacher, comma, lives in Bundang. So, who is my teacher is non-essential information. Restrictive clauses often follow common nouns. Now, these are not strict rules, but they are common rules. I saw a cat that had black fur. Not which had black fur. That had black fur. Now, the reason why we use restrictive and why we use non-restrictive is a little bit more confusing. Now, let's go back to, let me find it. Sorry, let me find this. Oh, nope, I'm going too far. Where was it? Maybe here. Okay, back to this with the tattoos one. Which of these is wrong and which of these is right is confusing. Now, remember that a non-restrictive clause has commas and uses which and has information that is not essential to the sentence. So that means that if we erase a non-restrictive clause, the meaning of the sentence should remain the same. It should remain the same. So, look at the second sentence here. Tattoos, comma, which have Chinese characters are popular in the US. If we erase this clause, which have Chinese characters, we're left with the sentence, tattoos are popular in the US. That is not, well, it's not correct. It's not the same meaning as the original sentence. What we should say is tattoos that have Chinese characters are popular in the US. Not all tattoos. Not all tattoos have Chinese characters, which is what the second sentence is saying. A non-restrictive clause with commas is usually a definition. It's defining all of a thing. So if we look at the second sentence, tattoos, comma, which have Chinese characters, comma, that's saying that all tattoos have Chinese characters, which is not true. Not all tattoos have Chinese characters. Some tattoos have English words. Some tattoos have just pictures. So the second sentence is wrong because not all tattoos have Chinese characters, which is what a non-restrictive clause is saying. Okay, let's keep going. I'm going to explain that again in just a minute if we have time, because I know it's confusing. Let's combine these sentences into one sentence, okay? I watched a movie. Now remember, a movie is a common noun, not a proper noun. So we're probably going to use that, not which. So how would we combine these two sentences into one sentence using an adjective clause? And again, we're probably not going to use which because this is a common noun. That's not a hard rule, but it's a common rule. So how would you change these two sentences into one sentence with an adjective clause? Okay, N says, I watched a movie that was exciting. Very good. Yeah, I watched a movie that was exciting. I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward because we don't have a lot of time. I watched a movie that was exciting. We're using that, not which. Not which, because which is used more often for proper nouns. Not always, but I watched a movie that was excited. And if you used which, Hoyongtae, you would need a comma. But again, it wouldn't be correct here. Which and that are quite difficult. Okay, Paris is beautiful. Paris is the capital of France. Now, Paris is a proper noun. So, the capital of France, this is kind of a definition, isn't it? It's giving extra information that's not necessary. So remember, when we're talking about a proper noun, and when we're talking about information that's extra, that's not necessary to understand what Paris is, we're probably going to use a non-restrictive clause. So try to change this into a one sentence. I'll wait in the live chat. Okay, Paris, which is the capital of France, is beautiful, says N. Very good. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And I'm going to keep going. Yeah. Paris, comma, which is the capital of France, comma, is beautiful. You would not use that here. You would never use that here. Especially not after a proper noun. Rose Cho says, Paris is beautiful, which is the capital of France. That would not be, that would not be correct because, again, the adjective clause needs to come after the noun that is defining. But you've put which is the capital of France after beautiful. But it should be after France, not after beautiful. Same with Jisun. You've put which after beautiful. But remember, the adjective clause needs to come after the noun, not after the adjective. Okay, let's keep going. Let's combine these two sentences into one sentence using an adjective clause. I like to listen to music. The music is popular. I want to see Interstellar. Interstellar is directed by Christopher Nolan. I'll let you choose which one uses that and which one uses which, and just try to write these into one sentence. Okay, anyone? Give me some sentences here. Okay, Suvli says, I like to listen to music that is popular. Okay, we'll see if that's right in just a minute. In says, I like to listen to music that is popular. I want to see Interstellar, comma, which is directed by Christopher Nolan. Looking good. We'll see if you're right in just a minute. Hoyongtae says, I like to listen to music that is popular. Let's see the answers. Yeah, the first one is, I like to listen to music that is popular. And second one, I want to see Interstellar. Interstellar is the name of a movie. It's a proper noun. So, comma, which is directed by Christopher Nolan. Very, very good. Very good. Okay, moving on. Wow, we just don't have much time, do we? We just don't have time for this, for when and that. I was going to talk about when and that and how they're different, but we don't have time. It's so sad. Very quickly, I'll show you. Look at these two sentences. Be careful when you exchange when or where and that, because when you use that instead of when or where, you need the preposition. So, for example, look at the first sentence. I want to go to the cafe where we first met. And the second one, I want to go to the cafe that we first met at. That at, when you use that. But when you use where or when, you're not going to use the preposition. That is a little bit confusing. Again, I have to go through these so quickly. We just don't have time. You can see these two sentences as well. Where and that don't have this problem. But when what did I do? I will see you at the time when class finished. I will see you at the time that class finished. So when and that, the top of my PowerPoint has a problem. When and that don't have a problem, but where does. So where you need the preposition, when you do not need the preposition. I'm sorry, I'm going to fast forward through these because we just don't have time. It's very sad, but we have just completely run out of time. I have to go because the next professor needs to come on and start her class. But yeah, there are lots of rules about adjective clauses, about when to use which, when to use that. I really encourage you to go, if you don't understand some of my very quick explanations, which I'm sure are difficult to understand because we just don't have enough time. But go and read about non-restrictive clauses and restrictive clauses, because you'll understand more about why we have to do that or why we have to do which. And yeah, kind of help you understand that better. It's kind of advanced grammar, so if you don't understand it perfectly, it's okay. But do try to research that, because adjective clauses in English, just like adjective clauses in Korean, are super important to know. We use them all the time. All the time. So if you know how to use them perfectly well, when to use that and when to use which, especially in writing, it's really important in writing with the commas and everything. It will just make you that much better of an English speaker. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry we don't have time. 1 hour is just such a small amount of time to teach this kind of complex topic. But yeah, I had a good class with you guys. I hope that you learned something at least, and I hope you have a great weekend. Holidays are coming up. Weather's getting nice and cool. Enjoy your time, and I'll see you guys next week. Stick around. I believe that Professor Cassandra has the next class. So stick around, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.